Hey, hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. This is our weekly live stream. I am your host, Patrick Vieira. And again, we are part of the outreach program for Silver Bullion located over in Singapore, where we really want you to help you understand how to truly secure your wealth. So Silver Bullion truly secure your wealth. How's everybody doing? Hope you all had a great weekend. Peter Frowine, how you doing? Yes, happy Sunday, Monday morning here in Asia. Jeff Logue, how you doing? Harold B, James Bell, how you doing? Carrie Ellen Wilder, how you doing? Snowy, cold northern Pennsylvania. Keep warm, and keep well. Let's see what else is out there. David Utness, how you doing? Niels Han Dynasty, how you doing? So again, appreciate you all being here. And what I'm going to do is I want to go back and take a look at some things that Jay Powell had said at the recent FOMC meeting, and then I'm going to take a look at what one analyst had to say. And even though perhaps it might be true, it kind of goes to say, just how we've become desensitized, I guess, in so many ways. But then again, it also kind of leads into when you look at the fall of nations or even empires, there are a few things that happen, generally all in sequence. So what I'm going to do is take a look at the back half of that sequence because I find it pretty interesting, and you decide if we are in those areas today. So that'll be the second part of it. We'll take a look at the recent interview with Keith Weiner, and I'll see you guys shortly. A few items from Twitter. Twitter was kind of light this week. Don't know why. There weren't that very many interesting things going on. Maybe it's the holiday season. People are winding down. But I'll be with you shortly again. Thank you for being here. Oops. So, hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira. As mentioned, let me see what a few things are here, what few things going on. Okay, yeah, got a little bit of a glitch on my end, but how you doing, Pablo Pina? Hopefully, you folks can hear me. Just let me know. Give me that 5-5 if it's coming in okay. Let's see who else is out here. Thank you, Seymour Rivers. Appreciate that. Always be funding. How you doing? Okay, so I guess we can we'll go ahead and jump into this. But again, if you are new, go ahead and type in new and where you're from, and we'll see if we can go ahead and acknowledge you. I think I did see one new. Patrick Bateman, how you doing? Um, yeah, okay. All right. So welcome one and all. I'm having some glitches on my end, but we'll get through this. So again, as always, you can find us on social media, silverbullion.com.sg. This is our website where we truly, we want you to understand how you can truly secure your wealth. We do specialize in systemic wealth protection with things like being able to buy and sell silver and gold and store it with us. We are not a third party vault. So that is a very, very key thing whenever you decide to store overseas. And we understand, storing overseas is not for everyone, but for those of you that would like to hold your metals in a different jurisdiction outside of your own jurisdiction, there are a few benefits as to why you'd want to go ahead and store overseas, and we can help you out with that and understand it. So silverbullion.com.sg. Silverbullion SG is our Facebook handle. Silverbullion PL for private limited is where you can find us on Twitter. Instagram, check it out. Some great photos there. Instagram, Silverbullion SG. Audio only versions can be found at bit.ly/SBTV iTunes or /SBTV Spotify. So I appreciate the 5-5s coming in. I had to kind of change the mic around. Jeff Logue, I don't do Twitter. All right, so let's see. Let's move on. This week we're going to have a pretty interesting guy. It's going to be Patrick Yip, the director of business development over at AppMex. So we're going to be talking to Patrick. We'll be talking about things like the products, the premiums, what are people buying, and what we can do because again, I don't need to say it. This is a pretty interesting time right now. We got inflation. Inflation trying to be plagued down. They're saying, hey, it came from 9 to 8 to 7 and whatnot. But then again, this is comparative to the year before. So when they say inflation is coming down, it's still pretty high compared to the year before. So Don't get caught up in that misunderstanding there. So Patrick Gipp, he's going to be on. The business development director from AppMix and One Gold. He's a pretty interesting guy. I've seen him on other interviews, so I'm looking forward to having a chat with him. So again, please do hit that bell, subscribe so you can be notified when this interview does come out. And as always, we do appreciate the thumbs up. So again, hopefully you can make it to this interview. And as always, each week, week in and week out, we do want to give you that $10 Amazon gift card. Hey, it's the holiday season, so I'm sure it's something that you could use. It's something I could use, but I know the answer. Every week I know the answer, so I can't participate in this, but we do want to give it to you. House rules: be one of the first 5 to answer this question from a past interview correctly in this live stream before the timer runs out. You're going to have about a minute and 30 seconds, and the question is going to come from the Keith Weiner interview. So hopefully you had a chance to watch it. US winners will be given a link to download the gift card. Non-US winners, you can go ahead and ask Amazon to exchange that gift card if it's not usable in your country, and provide us an email during this live stream. My colleague Vincent, I believe he's here, so he's on standby and he'll go ahead and collect the email addresses, and we will send it out after the live stream. So again, after the live stream, we'll go ahead and send out the gift cards. So let me just take a look at a few more at the comments here. Let's see what else is out there. Okay, all right. So I guess we'll just head on into the question. So again, this comes from the Keith Weiner interview. Hopefully, you had a chance to watch it. So according to Keith from Monetary Metals, the CEO of Monetary Metals, Bitcoin, Bitcoin sits outside of the world of blank. Bitcoin sits outside the world of blank. So go ahead and take a shot. As always, you never know. You just might get it right. And again, for the winners, we'll send out this gift card after the live stream. Go ahead and take a shot. According to Keith Weiner from Monetary Metals, CEO of Monetary Metals, Bitcoin sits outside the world of, take a guess. All right. So I see Tangible coming in from Pablo Pina. Ernest Blackmore says banking. What else we got there? Central banking. Reality. That's a good one. Reality, banking. Let's see. Paul also says banking. Harold B says currencies. Sanity, Miguel. All right, Miguel. Sanity. First time I've seen your name here. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, Miguel. John Palmer says fiat. One day I will pronounce your name correctly. Fantana Ranha. Swift is what you say. Tangible assets. Okay, so answers are coming in. Central bank control. All right, so we're got a few more seconds here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get the answer there. And for some reason, I'm not hearing the sound coming in on my end, so hopefully it's okay for you. Hang on. Okay. Let's see what else is out here. Okay, so the answer actually was finance, but what I will do is I'll go ahead and I will take banking. So let me see if I have okay, we'll end it there. So we'll go ahead and give it to Ernest Blackmore. He said banking. James Bell, central banking. Uh, let's see what else is out here. Freedom for all, banking. And Paul says banking, and you guys got it just in time. Got it just in time. So we'll go ahead and give these. I think Jeff Logue also got it. We'll throw that in as well, Jeff Logue. So those will be the 5 winners. So again, we have Ernest Blackmore, we have James Bell, we have also Freedom for All, and Paul, and then we have Jeff Logue. So those will be the 5. So just to make sure, we'll go ahead and we'll take a listen. Take a listen to Keith Weiner in that interview. We'll revisit him and let's see if that is indeed what he did say.
One has to look to the last Bitcoin being mined. That whole idea of a cap on the quantity, and they're trying to prevent dilution and so on. And they redefine money as something that has a provable quantity, a provable ledger, so you can know exactly how many units there are. That's not how real commerce is done. Nobody says, I'm going to refuse your gold coin because I don't know how many gold coins there are out there in the universe. So the problem with Bitcoin is that it's not stable. There is literally no mechanism by which Bitcoin could ever be stable. So its price is going up and down constantly, which means it can never be used for credit. It can't be used to finance real production. Who would borrow something that could go up 1,000-fold? I mean, imagine borrowing $1 million to buy a house, and then you owe $1 billion a few years later. I mean, that's nuts. So Bitcoin sits outside the world of finance, and its price is set purely by the marginal speculator.
All right, so Bitcoin sits outside the world of finance. Pretty interesting things what he said were no mechanism to give Bitcoin stability. So far, that absolutely does hold true. Bitcoin can never be used for credit. So far, again, that does hold to be true, and that is again because of the volatility. He goes on to say it cannot be used to finance real production. That is true as well, and no one says I cannot accept gold because I don't know how much gold there is in the universe, and that is true as well. Kind of ironic that we'll accept fiat. I mean, we don't know how much fiat. Well, we kind of do know how much fiat exists, but it definitely can grow at its own rate. So he goes on to say, nonetheless, Bitcoin sits outside the world of finance and its price is set by speculation. So, what say you? Do you agree with that? Do you have another viewpoint? Let me know. I'll take a look at it in the comments section as I play another clip from Keith Weiner.
I think most Americans either don't think about gold at all, or if they think about it, they think it's a joke and they laugh at it. That it's the sort of thing that over the hill former celebrities are pitching in late night infomercials, usually selling either greed or fear, how rich you're going to get, and that guarantee the gold price is going to have to go up because the Fed is about to print, or fear the Fed is going to crash the economy and there's a threat to your family and your loved ones or whatever it is that they try to paint it to be. And so there's a lot of tarnish on the reputation of gold in America. And the rest of the world, I think people understand gold is for that portion of your savings that you don't want to have at risk. The whole point of gold is that you have the right to take your marbles home. And it's the opposite of centralized. The dollar is centralized. Gold absolutely is not.
All right, so Keith Weiner making another point there. Most Americans don't understand gold. What do you feel? I mean, if you're in the U.S., do you agree with that? If you're outside the U.S., what's your opinion on that as well? I'll offer mine. I tell you what, I don't think we people in the U.S. I mean, what the heck? I'm a U.S. citizen outside of Singapore, but from what I see now from the outside looking in, especially being in Asia, uh, here in Asia, gold is viewed definitely different from the way gold is seen back in the States. I mean, I believe most of the time, back in the States, we just kind of see gold as jewelry. Maybe we kind of, seen it as coins and things. If you're my age, you remember the coins that still had silver in it. So we kind of understand, yes, precious metals do mean something as far as money. But I think it's been kind of taken over by traders where, ETFs come along and now gold is just something to trade and go ahead and make money on. And uh, we've kind of lost what gold really meant. Compared to here in Asia, gold is really, really seen as a different, as something totally different. So what do you think? And then again, excuse me, gold is greed or a fear proposition. What do you think about that? I mean, I know some of us right now we're buying gold and silver because we do have a bit of fear. I don't know anyone who's really buying it for greed right now. Most of the people I know buying gold and silver, they are buying it for fear, or they're buying it to secure their wealth as a store of value. So that's another great point. And the reputation of gold is tarnished in America. Gold is the portion of your savings that you don't want to have at risk. Absolutely true. This is again going back to the part of gold and silver being a store of value and wealth protection. So, Keith, laying it on the line there. I'll play one more clip from Keith Weiner, and I'm gonna send out a message to the guys at one. I mean, at least our email, so you know where to go ahead and send your email, so we can go ahead and send the gift card after. So one more clip from Keith Weiner.
How could you measure economic value such that you can compare a 1992 price to a 2022 price? And what is it that you would use to measure? And the answer is gold, grams or ounces of gold is the closest thing we have. We have continually been mining gold for at least, as far as we know, 5,000 years. Gold is not consumed. So the gold just accumulates. Virtually all the gold ever mined is still in somebody's hands. In any other commodity, accumulation is impossible. It's called a glut. If the wheat crop is 1% greater than whatever the agricultural experts, predicted, it's a calamity. The price crashes. Farmers stop planting wheat. Marginal users of starch, maybe it's wallpaper paste, switch to wheat, to work off the glut. There's no such thing as a glut in gold. It's accumulated without end, which means the marginal utility of gold does not diminish. The next unit, the nth plus 1 ounce of gold, is worth the same as the nth. Nothing else comes remotely close to that.
All right, Keith. You know one thing good about Keith, whenever whenever I have a chance to talk with him, his verbiage is so colorful. I have to end up going back and kind of figuring out what he said sometimes. But anyway, gold measures price value. That is true. You know that is true in a lot of ways. And except for gold, too much of a commodity is called a glut. And I kind of checked back on that, and remember when oil, the futures traders, they had bought so much oil, and the thing was, there was a fear about delivery because there was no more storage available to go ahead and store it, and so we actually saw the oil price go negative. And it was at that time they were actually talking about what if we have a glut of gold. But nonetheless, that's something I don't think will ever happen unless possibly again the paper market somehow push it in that direction. But a glut of gold, nah, never. I don't think that'll ever happen as well. So what are your thoughts on this? I'll take a look at a few of the comments. So again, the winners, I sent out a message. Winners, please send your email to sbtv at silverbullion.com.sg. And let me just roll up the comments here and get back to the winners. Again, they were let's go, Ernest Blackmore, sbtv at silverbullion.com.sg. James Bell, send it to that same email address. Freedom for All, Paul, and again, of course, Jeff Logue. Send your emails to sbtv at silverbullion.com.sg. So, all right, we'll move on here. And so, again, I'll be looking for your thoughts as we go through the most recent Gerald Salente's Trends Journal. We'll take a look at his weekly message. And banks see a recession. I guess they're kind of late to the game. A lot of us already saw it. And then Hungary, the country of Hungary, something going on there. So let's proceed. Gerald's weekly message: World War III has begun. The United States and NATO are not fighting a proxy war with Russia, they are at war. So, indeed, today it was reported, or this is last week, that the British Royal Marines have been fighting on the ground in the Ukraine. I don't know if any of you folks have heard of that, but they've been fighting on the ground in the Ukraine. And as we have warned, World War III won't become official until there is a nuclear exchange and or a major false flag event that will rally the masses to follow their demonic leaders and fight to their death. Regardless of your religious beliefs or even if you have none, Christmas is the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ and joy to the world. But as we forecast the geopolitical trends shaping the future, this is not a merry time. Confirming what we have long been warning, this past Sunday, Pope Francis said that he too has a dreadful vision of the world with omens of even greater destruction and desolation. Jesus Christ is called the Prince of Peace because he sought to heal broken relationships, raise the spirit of life, and bring peace on earth, with the belief that those doing so will rise to higher levels in this life and the hereafter. Peace is fundamental because without it, there can be no love and no joy. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness makes life worth living. All right, banks see a recession. Executives and analysts at major U.S. banks see the nation entering a recession. The only difference among them is when. Europe has already fallen into a recession that may last for years, and the U.S. will follow in the second half of 2023 with the shorter and shallower setback, Citigroup CEO Jane Fraser said last week at a Goldman Sachs investment conference. The Bank of America analysts are also forecasting a recession next year. JP Morgan Chase, the largest American bank, warned that unemployment will rise, peaking at 5% in 2024 after sparking a shallow and short lived recession next year. The U.S. economy is likely to tame inflation without falling into recession, Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon predicted at the Dallas Citizens Council's annual meeting, but could still easily go through a slight recession. Hope for the best, but prepare for a bumpier environment, he added. Hungary Hungary was penalized last week by the European Commission for refusing to throw its support behind an 18 billion euro economic aid package for the Ukraine, despite intense pressure from the bloc to show a united front. Prime Minister Viktor Orban has been criticized in the past for appearing sympathetic to country R and Mr. P, and the EU added a unanimous vote to approve the package. The bloc's inability to agree to terms showed new fissures in support for Ukraine. So Viktor Orban is abusing the veto like no one before him. He even takes funds for Ukrainian hospitals hostage for this, according to Daniel Frund, a member of Hungary's Green Party, as he told the Associated Press. Viktor Orban could not have given Mr. P a nicer present today. Orban said earlier that he is not in favor of the EU taking out new loans to give to the Ukraine. We are not in favor of this because we do not want the European Union to become a community of indebted states instead of a community of cooperating member states, is what he said. And Frank Ferretti, the author of The Road to Ukraine, How the West Lost Its Way, accused the EU of trying to bring Hungary to its knees and is trying to blackmail Budapest into agreeing to the deal by withholding 7.5 billion in in the bug funding, if you can believe this. Thought it was about health, right? Daniel Fern, the German MEP, called Orban's move a full escalation. Orban has agreed to assist Ukraine not not militarily. He has a close relationship with Mr. P and has blamed Western sanctions on Russia for much of the problems. The EU claimed that it is withholding the funds over democratic violations in Budapest and the lack of anti-corruption safeguards. All right, we'll head on over to the weekly inflation yield check. But isn't it interesting how they're going to hold back funds for Hungary for the bug? I mean, kind of makes you wonder where the priorities are, what's real and what's not real. Kind of makes you wonder. Anyway, let's take a look at the inflation and the yield, the bond yield chart here. Up and to the right means the economy is expected to be good. If it starts to flatten out, optimism is falling. And then if it starts to invert, we can pretty much be assured that a inversion will be on the way. So we'll just go ahead and take a look at this chart. Let's see what else is this. Carrie Ellen Wilder, Presidents Orban and Mr. P are true heroes. Okay, strong opinion there. Let's see what else is out there. Let's see. Patrick Bateman. So the EU isn't a democracy. It sure looks like it. It sure looks like it's. I, I don't want to use those words for the algos, but we love YouTube. We love the algos. But Patrick Bateman, yeah, you got a great point there. So anyway, as this chart runs through, we can see how December ended. There's definitely an inversion going on, without question. Again, even if you look at that 30-year at 3.52, or even the 20-year, that's the highest you get on the long end, 3.74. Uh, you can see that the 3-year, 2-year, 1-year, 6-month, 3-month, 2-month, and even 1-month are offering better yields than the best long end yield at the 20-year mark. So again, uh, a recession, this is almost a guarantee when you see this inversion. A recession is on the way. But I think the recession's already here. They're just not really willing to call it yet. So anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at our website, silverbullion.com.sg, and see what's going on out there. So 1,000 ounce LBMA bars, 50 cents per ounce over spot. Let me go back to that one. Whoops. What happened here? Let me get back to that. That's a pretty good deal. 40 cents over spot per ounce for 1,000 ounce LBMA bars. What else do they have going on here? Again, maples. People seem to like maples here in Asia, so we got a sale going on those as well. Canadian maples, $5 per ounce over spot, and with the gold, I think it was. Let me get back to that. $50 per ounce over spot. So pretty good deals with there. Okay, so let me refresh this. Make sure I can refresh it up. Okay, so silver up 9 cents this morning here in Asia, 23.39, and gold 17.97. So they both come down a bit. Silver was up at the 24 handle, and gold was over 1,800. So both have come down a bit. Platinum, platinum 1,010. So it's on the move again. And of course, nickel is trying to get back to that 30,000 handle. So nickel again. This is one of the key metals as far as the electric vehicle batteries go. So this is something to watch. And you could actually buy the physical nickel with us and go ahead and store it here as well. Again, if you speak a different language, maybe it's Mandarin, maybe it's French, maybe it's German. We have people who can speak to you in your native language if that's what you prefer. This is free as well. Download our products and services guide. There could be something in here that we can offer a service to you for, especially again if it's something you need as far as wealth protection. We can definitely help you there. Let me go down. Silver and gold ratio 76.8, coming down from that 80 handle. So again, basically this means it takes about 76 or 77 ounces of silver right now, price wise, to equal 1 ounce of gold. And what people do, a lot of us, we just tend to buy silver. We keep it in silver. We buy gold. We keep it in gold. But there are those out there that play this ratio. So what happens is when silver is high, the ratio is high, like as it is now, almost 80. They will go ahead and buy silver. And as this ratio starts to flip and go down to 60 or 50 or so, they will flip it back into gold. So it's a way to end up with more metal at a cheaper price. So we do have people who do this, and it does work. But do it with bars. The premiums on coins are pretty high right now, so go ahead if you're going to look at doing this. Bars would be a better option for you than coins. Featured products: Britannia's, Maples, Gold Kilo bars. But what I like to get into are these 1,000 ounce LBMA bars. These are something that if you're looking at the best spreads, the lowest premiums, this is what you would like to get into. We have 5 at the shop. If you're here in Singapore, bring your trolley, come on down, pick it up. It's heavy. No joke. This thing is heavy. Wrap it up and put it under your Christmas tree. So there you go. That's a great Christmas gift, maybe for yourself. But most people, they will go ahead and store it in the vault. We have almost 400 available to put in the vault. If you do want to put it in the vault, a lot of you already have accounts with us. Go ahead and just open up your account and purchase it through there. Or you can sign up as a Silver Bullion user. 6 types of accounts: personal, joints, trust, joint account with a minor, business, and retirement account. This one, I'm really going to be trying to push this for you guys where, if you do have a 401k or things like that, uh, consider rolling some of it over into a precious metals IRA. We went over the other week how Biden rolled back what the fiduciaries can do with your 401k. Before, fiduciaries could only invest that 401k sort of performance based. Okay, they had to, or they could invest it based on the performance of a company. Now they can invest it based on just if that company is ESG, not performance based anymore, just if they're ESG. So if you don't agree with that, go ahead and roll over some of that 401k into a precious metals IRA. We can help you to do this. So again, the easiest one though is of course personal account. All we need is your name, some type of an ID. Fill out the application, send it to us, and as always, this helps us out a lot. Where you can go ahead and put in SBTV, and as I told you last week, every Wednesday we have a meeting and we always take a look at this number. So if the number is good, if we had some of you who use this as a reference, I don't need to hide. If the number is bad, I'm usually trying to sit way back in the corner. So this helps me out a lot as well, and I do appreciate that. So moving over to Twitter, just a few items. For some reason, Twitter, as I mentioned, was kind of slow. Stuart A. Brown saying David Stockman thinks there will be a 50 to 75% correction in the financial markets. He contends the only asset that has held its value over time is gold. Stockman recommends everybody should be holding some gold as insurance against the coming reset. And we talk about this quite a bit. Where are you buying gold as an investment? Are you buying silver as an investment, or are you buying them as an insurance? As I've told everyone all along, uh, speaking for myself, I've never bought an ounce of gold or silver as an investment. I've only bought it as an insurance. So, again, everyone's different, but interesting he used the word insurance. David Stockman saying insurance. Trin, she's got a good Twitter account. She puts out good info. So if you can, go ahead and follow her at Trinomics. Bad news for Asian IT exporters. Don't count on more Chinese imports as China wants to be self-sufficient. So under government pressure, China's giant state-owned enterprises are rushing to crank up domestic purchases of innovative information technology applications. We kind of said this before, where a lot of people still think that China is a major exporter and that's pretty much all they do. Well, yes, they exporting is a major part of the economy, but a lot of us, we don't realize that their domestic consumption is so huge that they could basically just supply themselves and their economy would still roll pretty well. So it's really moved from exports to domestic consumption, where they can go ahead and manufacture within their own borders for their own people. And this is something we may not have realized that has happened through the years. Lawrence Lepard, we are never going back to 2% inflation. That's just not happening. What do you think? Are we going to get back to 2%? I'm thinking, maybe something like 5% might be the new normal. But what do you think? Are we going to get back to that 2%? Can he pull it off? Keith Weeder, the first of these articles where the body text actually supports the headline. If the claim is true, this makes economic sense. And what it is gold extracted from SIM cards can be used to make painkillers. All right, so gold can be used to make painkillers. And I'll just stop here with Rob Kintz from Gold Silver Pros. In Basel III, gold has been explicitly defined as a high quality liquid asset in the system as long as hedged in future markets, and will therefore be a very important part of the new banking system. And that's really what we're all, we all have so many different opinions on what that new banking system will be. So that was a look at Twitter. We're going to move on to the topic of the day. Let me catch up before we start here. Let me catch up with the comments here. Let's see. Um, let's see. Standing mannequin. Can we get back to reality? Yeah. Reality is CPI is at 11%. That's what a lot of people are saying. It's really double digits, but they're feeding us this lower number here. Let's see. James Bell, smoke and mirrors from U.S. government. They want to track every penny we spend, but resist audit of where aid to you went. That is true. I mean, it seems like it's such a hard time to really get them to open up the books or show us what they're doing. Can't even get them to open up the vault at Fort Knox to let us know that all the gold is there. But then again, things like what just passed, they 87,000 more IRS agents going to be breathing down your neck. If you have more than $600 worth of transactions or something in things like Venmo, and now you're going to have to file taxes on those as well. So a lot of people getting away, and a lot of they're just really going after the middle class and the guys who are really just trying to scrape up things to make ends meet. So make no mistake, we are seeing two different Americas, and it's not just the U.S. We are seeing two different classes in so many countries right now, and a lot of it has to do with money. So I guess that kind of takes us to where we are. Where is the United States, or maybe even your own country, a failing empire or nation? So that's what we're going to take a look at. And there are often comparisons made between the fall of Rome and the fall of America. And more commonly, there are certain stages, almost a procedure a nation or empire goes through before it no longer exists as it once did, whether it was its might, its power, its reach, or maybe its influence. So first, what I'm going to show you are a couple clips from the past FOMC meeting with Jay Powell, so we can all start from the same point. And from there, we're going to go to what one analyst said in particular. This what he had to say regarding what the central bank is saying. All right, so here we go. Oh, one more. Sorry about it. Now, the thing is, this is going to reveal an untouchable attitude that infects a nation to a point where it becomes a cancer and eats away at a nation from the inside out. And ultimately, it eats away so much. A nation crumbles, and their people will feel the pain for generations. So, again, let's start by revisiting Jay Powell.
Good afternoon. Before I go into the details of today's meeting, I'd like to underscore for the American people that we understand the hardship that high inflation is causing and that we are strongly committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal. Over the course of the year, we've taken forceful actions to tighten the stance of monetary policy. We've covered a lot of ground, and the full effects of our rapid tightening so far are yet to be felt. Even so, we have more work to do. Price stability is the responsibility of the Federal Reserve and serves as the bedrock of our economy. Without price stability, the economy doesn't work for anyone. In particular, without price stability, we will not achieve a sustained period of strong labor market conditions that benefit all.
All right, so Powell says he understands the hardship that inflation is bringing. That's what he says. Still targeting that 2% inflation goal. That's what he says again. The full effects of rapid tightening are yet to be felt. Now that one is concerning. What does he mean? What do you think he means by this? The full effects of rapid tightening are yet to be felt. Is he talking about something that's going to be felt in the markets, in the economy? Is he talking about something that's going to be felt by employees who are just going to work, trying to make ends meet? What does he mean here? Full effects of rapid tightening are yet to be felt. You tell me. Take a guess at it, and you tell me what you think he means. And price stability is the bedrock of the economy. Again, all according to Jay Powell. I'll be looking for your comments there. Without price stability, the economy does not work for anyone. In particular, without price stability, we will not achieve a sustained period of strong labor market conditions that benefit all. And this is the interesting part, because part of what the Fed does want to do is they need to have a certain level of unemployment to sort of like stop the spending, because it's our fault that inflation is going up. We're spending too much, so they don't want us to spend too much, so they want to take away our jobs. So it's weird where he says we will not achieve a sustained period of a strong labor market conditions that benefit all. So kind of contradictory, but anyway, we're going to get into this, so let me move on. The thing that stood out for me, though, was when Powell said we have not, again, felt that full effects. Those were his words. So, again, what do you think it means? What are these things that are coming our way?
Today, the FOMC raised our policy interest rate by a 0.5 percentage point. We continue to anticipate that ongoing increases will be appropriate in order to attain a stance of monetary policy that is sufficiently restrictive to return inflation to 2% over time. In addition, we're continuing the process of significantly reducing the size of our balance sheet. Restoring price stability will likely require maintaining a restrictive policy stance for some time.
Okay, so they did raise the rates by 0.5%, some 50 basis points, a little bit down from the past 75 basis point raises that they've been doing. Ongoing increases will be appropriate. So he's saying we're still going to do it. We're still going to raise the rates. It's appropriate. Restrictive monetary policy will continue for some time. So what he's saying is, again, they really want to slow down, all of this money sloshing around. They don't want it to get back in the system. So they're going to sort of restrict that money that is flowing around for some time. And they will continue to reduce the balance sheet. This is what he says, all again according to Jay Powell. So the way I read it, the Fed is sort of now doing a tiptoe. They're doing a tiptoe because all along they've told us that they need to be aggressive and will not pull back until inflation is well under control. Remember, he was saying this. It would be a big mistake if we slow down too early. So we have to go at this, pretty aggressively. So it looks like he's saying, things are starting to get under control. What do you think? Is it? Is inflation under control? Will Powell get to his 2%? Will, let's say, 5% be the new norm? So what are your thoughts on these? I'll be looking for them in the comments section. And then, of course, the analysts came out after Jay Powell made his statement. They came out of the closets in the woodwork and all had their opinions on things, as do you and I. But this guy takes the cake with what he had to say. So listen to what he had to say, because in what he said, I believe, are the full effects that Powell is talking about.
On this number, what it means for stocks, what it means from the Fed.
Well, I think that not much wages here, but almost everything that fell is going to continue to fall. A lot of things that are in stasis or about equilibrium are about to fall. There isn't anything in here that indicates that something is too low, except for maybe airline fares, which fell 3. I think that could go up, but I mean,
but you're talking inflation numbers, not stocks.
Yeah, everything's going the Fed's way in these. And, I look at the individual companies. I know that food prices are going to come down. I know that energy prices are going to keep coming down. I know that the supply chains for the home builders are now in pretty good shape. I know the supply chains for the auto companies are in much better shape, not just the used. So I didn't expect the medical index to fall. That was a nice surprise. And then apparel's going to crater because there's so much inventory in the system. So I see most of the things going the Fed's way, except for wages. We don't have that yet. And we need to see more people, unfortunately, be laid off.
All right. So according to this guy, the Fed is doing a great job, more or less, is what he's saying. Hey, the Fed's doing a great job. Things that fell will continue to fall. He's talking about price inflation, where things were a bit more expensive and the prices are coming down. And things that have not come down, they will, according to him. Now, food and energy prices will keep coming down. And this part, I don't know. So we need to see more people get laid off, is what he says. We need to see more people get laid off. Now, here is the piece that Paul was alluding to when he said we have not seen the full effect of their rapid tightening. We are going to continue to see layoffs happen, and perhaps it might even move at an accelerated pace. So let me play a couple more clips with what this guy had to say.
What it's really doing is it's all the cumulative stuff that they've been fighting that is finally working right. And the collapse of energy is very important. The index for natural gas has to keep falling. look, it's just a really solid number. And I don't like to look through it because I deal with all the companies that are making this stuff, and they're not putting through price increases anymore. That's over. If anything, they're going to have price decreases because of outfits like Costco that'll say you're charging too much and we're rolling things back. So, yeah, I mean, fruits and vegetables is higher because there's a cartel that keeps those up, and the government has to investigate that.
All right, did you hear that? Did you hear that? So again, the Fed is doing a great job. Energy needs to collapse. Energy needs to collapse is his word, and that food cartel. Anyway, energy needs to collapse. Now, how do you collapse energy when you are dependent on energy? Where will this energy glut come from to bring energy prices down? I mean, last I checked, Saudi Arabia and China were basically signing on that dotted line. I mean, what is the US going to turn to, say, Iran and other foes of Saudi Arabia to perhaps get cheaper oil? I mean, you know, the principle of my enemy's enemy is my friend. So you tell me, how do you collapse energy besides that, or perhaps going not just green, but fluorescent green, neon green, some type of crazy color, mega green? How do you intend to collapse energy? And of course, he says the fruits and vegetables are up because of the cartel. The cartel. Now, what cartel is this? I mean, he's saying he's so in touch with all these businesses, and he sees this and he sees that. And well, if he's seeing a cartel, what cartel is this that has that our food that has our food in it? Fruits and vegetables is what he's saying. So the thing here again is that we are looking at energy and food, the two very things the Fed does not like to count in its inflation number. This is simply remarkable. This game that is continually being played over and over and over. James Bell, good comment here. Layoffs and UBI. A lot of people think UBI is the ultimate goal. You know, if you can get people on that UBI, then it becomes very, very easy for these central bank digital currencies to roll out, roll in, and really start to take control of our everyday life. What else is out here? Let's see. John D. Liberto, hey Powell, who owns the Federal Reserve? Great question. A lot of speculation with that one. Yeah, I have some speculation as well. Probably the same as you. Yukon Cornelius, though this is not good news, my friend. My favorite beer has increased in price from 3.79 a can to 4.29 since 2020, 13%. Oh, that's not good. You can't have that rise, right? I mean, that's important stuff. You got to be able to unwind there. All right, so let me move on here, but it's just remarkable that this food cartel, food basically, and then energy needs to collapse. The two very things that the Fed does not like to include. So interesting how these two things keep and continually coming up over and over and over. All right, moving on.
Most these things are really good. And again, remember, I'm coming in from the company side. I don't care
Yeah.
about these numbers.
Well,
These
let
numbers
me-
verify what the companies are telling me.
If you're coming at it from the company side, if costs are coming down, does that mean the earnings recession that so many people have been predicting doesn't come to pass this next earnings quarter?
Well, I think that you're in this weird moment right now where the costs are coming down to the consumer very slightly, but they're coming down big to the producer. So you'll still see some very good numbers. I'm not sure, but I think crude is trying to put in a bottom. But I don't think you're going to see a big increase by any means in gasoline. So there's just a lot of things that are in this that have been in the works, and they're finally coming to fruition. Housing, not yet. And like I said, wages, you need to see more layoffs. Because that's why the Fed must raise, because they don't have the wage thing under control yet. But they'll get that under control because a lot of companies want to see their stocks higher, and they know that the way to get their stocks higher is to fire people.
Did you hear what he said at the very end there? I know you did. I heard it. A few other things though. Costs are coming down big to the producers. Costs to consumers are coming down slightly. Housing still needs to come down. We still need to see more layoffs. The Fed will continue to raise And the way to get your stock higher is to fire people. Fire people. You fire people, hey, your stock price is gonna go up. That's the way to do it. Fire people. I'll fire everyone, my stock will rise. Now, I know maybe that's not exactly what he meant, but this kind of led me to open up a bit and think, has America lost its way or losing its way when you hear things like this? I mean, by the numbers, maybe it is. I don't want to say the correct thing to do, but traditionally that's been done. But when you look at the way people have no problem saying it, hey, you need to be fired, you need to lose your job because you're making me pay higher for prices. I mean, you're making me pay higher prices for things. When you look at it that way, the nation building is gone. There was a time where you have these things called nation building, but it's gone. It's no more nation building. It's a nation destroying itself from the inside out. The thing is, has the Fed commingled too much with politics and corporations that the nation is now it's now sort of captured with looks to be wrong economic fundamentals. I mean, has this led to where a once great nation is now cracking morally, ethically, where the cracks will divide? And we know that saying, divided, we will fall. So remember how I said when a nation crumbles earlier in the live stream, a nation crumbles, pain will be felt for generations. Now, what is interesting is when I took a look at this article about some 5 years old or so in a local newspaper here in Singapore on the lessons for Singapore on the rise and fall of empires, it started with this. It started with how wealth lasts 3 generations and how great nations do not last longer than roughly 250 years. So let me get into that article and show you. So lessons for Singapore on the rise and fall of empire. So this is from a local paper, and what it is I guess they went ahead and took a look at the how nations rise and fall, and they viewed it comparatively to where Singapore is. So again, this is back in 2017. So let me get to just one part here, and then I'll get back. I'll get back. Um, moving on a bit. Sorry. So the Chinese have a saying: "Wealth does not last beyond 3 generations." After celebrating its 50th year, Singapore is moving into its third generation. So will Singapore's wealth and stability last? Sir John Bagot Glubb. Sorry, I'm not sure on that middle name. Anyway, he was a British soldier, scholar, and author who led and trained Transjordan's Arab Legion between 39 and 56. And after his retirement from the British Army, he wrote a profound essay, The Fate of Empires and Search for Survival, which analyzes the lifespan of great nations from their genesis to their decline. And he notes that over the past 3,000 years, most great nations do not last longer than 250 years or 10 generations. Many last for even shorter periods of time. And the stages of the rise and fall of great nations seem to be as follows. And he says all of the empires he has analyzed went through these same 7 stages. Okay, so this is where, well, I should say, so where is the United States, or where is your country as it pertains to Sir John Glubb, a soldier and scholar's essay, The Fate of Empires and Search for Survival? So we're going to take a look at the 7 stages, but we're going to pay more particular attention to stages 5, 6, and 7. Maybe, maybe if we can figure out where we are, maybe we can turn things around before our fall of fate. So these 7 stages, the age of pioneers, an outburst where people went and they were pioneers. They went and started nation building. And then there were conquests and commerce and affluence starts to come in. And then the 5, 6, and 7 stages, intellect, decadence, and of course decline and collapse. So this is where I want to take a look at these stages 5, 6, and 7. So the age of intellect. Now, during this stage, wealth is no longer needed for necessities, okay, necessities now, or luxuries. It's already there. And there are also abundant funds for the pursuit of knowledge. Business people that made their wealth in the age of commerce seek fame and praise of others by endowing works of arts or patronizing music and literature and founding or endowing institutions of higher education. Now, it's ironic that while civilizations make advancements in science, philosophy, the arts, and literature, history shows us that every period of decline is characterized by the expansion of intellectual activity. Okay? History shows us this, that every period of decline is characterized by the expansion of intellectual activity. Why? Why is this so? Why does this happen? The answer is NATO. No action, talk only. Intellectualism leads to discussion, debate, and argument, which is often seen around the world today, at least mostly in Western societies. But this constant dedication to discussion seems to destroy the power of action. The most dangerous byproduct of this age of intellect is the birth and growth of the notion that human intellect can solve all the problems of the world, when in fact the survival of a nation really depends on its citizens. All right. So that nation depends on its citizens. But in this age of intellect, we have certain people who think that their intelligence can solve all the problems of the world. So what are your thoughts on this? Are we at that stage, that age of intellect? Let me go ahead and catch up with you guys and look at some of these comments. You tell me, are we in this age of intellect? Let's see. Um, okay, so let me just catch up with the comments here. Yeah, a lot of talk on oil, the big veggie, the big veggie cartel. Um, let's see. Yeah, it's I can see the food products are still going up here, even in Singapore. I can tell you the food is it's going up without a doubt. But what are your thoughts on this? Are we in the age of intellect? Do we have just a few, let's say, a handful of people who are deciding that their intellectual capabilities can solve all the problems for the world or even for certain nations, but yet it's actually the citizens that can really save and develop a nation, not the intellectuals. So let me move on here. I'll be looking for your comments. So are we in this age of intellect? Now, just to share in that stage one, the pioneer stage, that stage is about simply going after things and doing things, nation building. And in fact, here in Singapore, the older generation who were there in the early stages of the nation building process, they are indeed called pioneers. So pretty interesting there. Now, in the US, politicians talk and talk and talk and talk, while the world is simply doing. Again, being out here in Asia, they talk a little bit. Well, they talk and they come to terms pretty quick, and they do. They just simply do. They don't talk and talk and take sides of the aisle and whatnot. They understand, it's all still about nation building. So you got to do for the nation, and then they go ahead and do. Anyway, with the likes of the World Economic Forum, affluent philanthropists, and so on, are we indeed in that age of intellect? Are we there? And then you move on over to the age of decadence and decline. So decadence is mental, moral, and spiritual disease that disempowers its people. Disempowers its people to the extent that they do not make an effort to save themselves or their nations because they don't think anything in life is worth saving. Maybe they don't think anything is wrong. Long as they're feeling good, hey, nothing's wrong, right? Age of decadence comes about because of the following factors: an extended period of wealth and power, right? An extended period of wealth and power. Selfishness, love of money, and loss of a sense of duty. Loss of that nation building, nation advancement type of idealism. It's marked by defensiveness, pessimism, materialism, frivolity, and an influx of foreigners. This is interesting, an influx of foreigners, the welfare state, and a weakening of religion. Okay, a weakening of religion. So let us consider each of these factors. Defensiveness. People are so consumed with defending their wealth. Actually, this is something right now at this point in history, it should it should be nibbling at you already to understand to do this. And possessions that they failed to fulfill their duty to their family, community, and nation. Uh, I think times have changed here. Maybe Sir Glubb, he was living in a different time. It's definitely changed where they weren't printing money back then how they are now. So you do got to have a little bit of defensiveness with your wealth. All right, I think that part I may disagree with him. But Glubb also notes that another remarkable and unexpected sign of nation decline is civil dissension and intensification of internal political hatreds. Various political factions hate each other so much that instead of sacrificing rivalries to save the nation, internal differences are not reconciled, leading to a weaker nation. So, what are your thoughts on this? Is Glubb kind of hitting it on the head here? Let me take a look at a few comments before we move on. Um, let's see, Ryan Trask. Yeah, America's lost its way. The citizens remind me of Zoolander, where they are trying to get to the files in the computer. Meanwhile, like OMG, time to check like TikTok. Oh, snap. Yeah, and there's a part of me that says, especially the younger generation. But I tell you what, it's up and down the generations. I mean, young and old. We are just magnetized. We're stuck to our handphones. We're stuck to our computers. We're stuck. We have to see what's going on. So that's a good comment there. Let me see what else is out here. Um, let's see. Yeah, let's see. Ryan again. CNN and Fox told me how to think. You gotta think for yourself. Exactly. Gerald Salente, he always says think for yourself. But let me move on. Okay, so defensiveness. I agree and disagree. I think we have come to a point where we do need to understand what it is to store our wealth. We do need to understand this. And I agree with definitely what he's saying here, where political factions hate each other. Uh, these guys are that's all they care about. Who won an argument. They don't care about the nation anymore. So, I mean, are we putting the right people in, in office? I don't know anymore. So anyway, what are your thoughts on this? I'll move on. Pessimism. As a nation declines in power and wealth, universal pessimism invades its people and accelerates its decline. And this part is interesting because as we go forward, thinking of what Jim Cramer said, where more people need to get laid off. Can you imagine people with no work, paying higher interest on their loans, battling inflation, and potentially even losing their homes, barely covering rent, trying to get food on their table, unemployed because, hey, we need to lay people off, right? According to Cramer. Can you imagine what the world will see? What the world is going to see and think of the US at that point, because it would look like utter chaos. Would they then have any faith in the US dollar, in the currency of a nation that is on the slide, that is just on a slippery slope? Would they have any confidence in that nation's currency? Would the world drop the hammer and close the door on the dollar and compound that by multiple powers? The hardship that will fall on the US people, as its people have only US dollars. And we kind of talked about this. If you were, let's say, in Argentina, if your local currency went bad, you would slip over into US dollars. But if you're in the US and your currency goes bad and all you have is US dollars, where are you going to go? You can't go into US dollars. Where are you going to go? And again, these are reasons and things and why you should be looking at true money, sound money, hard money, things like silver and gold. Not financial advice here, just saying, offering up my opinion on what I would do. So this is not any type of financial advice. All right, moving on here. Materialism. People enjoy high standards of living and consume in excess of what they need. Frivolity. Now, as the pessimism invades its people, people start to think, whatever. Let us eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. The people forget that material success is the result of courage. You need that courage, the endurance, and hard work. and spend an increasing part of their time indulging in sex, leisure, amusement, or sport. So we kind of lose our way a little bit. And again, my question here is this your country as well? I mean, we like to say, this is the US, and it's hard to argue that it's not, but is this happening in your own country as well? The heroes in declining nations are the athlete, the singer, or the actor, not the statesman, not the general or the literary genius. Does all this really start to sound familiar here? You can really see where we're going. Let me see comments here. Okay. Yeah, William, this is where our opinions and values carry weight. Uh, we got to do things, and we got to speak up when we need to speak up. Uh, but we got to take care of ourselves, and really where they're going to hit you is in the wallet, in the finances. So this is where you got to figure out how you are going to be your own bank. It's always important to understand this. um okay, so let's see. William, again, much of academia is populated by people who don't really like themselves very much. Okay, well, I'm not an academic, so I wouldn't know, and maybe that's why I like all of you, and I sometimes like me too. All right, let me move on here. So, influx of foreigners. Now, this one I found interesting, where in his essay, Glubb also observes that one frequent phenomenon in the decline of cities is the influx of foreigners. Now, foreigners are attracted by affluence. That's why they go there. They're looking for a better life. They're attracted by affluence and take on jobs which often the citizens do not want to do. They don't want to do themselves. But they can be the weak links in the society for various reasons, such as they will be less willing to sacrifice their lives and property for the nation, and they form communities of their own that protect their own interests above that of the nation. That is true. I think, we see how, I mean, it's natural that you're going to gravitate towards your own kind. Okay, that part is natural. But I'm not so sure about, I mean, I think those of us who've served, we've had, we've had foreigners come in and stand right beside you. So I'm not sure about that part, but I do understand where there becomes a dilution in the original ideology of a nation when you start to bring in. It's just a natural thing when you start to bring in people with different cultures, different opinions, different values, and there starts to be a dilution. So influx of foreigners, it does change a nation, and I don't think there's anything wrong in saying that. It does change the ideology of a nation. So what Glove is saying, I think it's true. I can tell you, here in Singapore, there's a limit. Um, if you for jobs, let's say there's a percentage, a quota. You have to have so many local people if you intend to hire a foreigner. So that way they keep locals working, and then they can hire a foreigner, and then that foreigner has to have a lot of times some type of special quality. Maybe he specialized in something, or whatever it may be, or he's doing jobs that maybe locals have no interest in, or whatever it may be. But here there is a quota. You can't just you know open the gates and let everyone come in. Here, no, they have to. So many locals have to be employed before you can pick up a foreigner. So some nations do things a bit different. So let me take a look at a few comments here. um let's see. Let's see. All right. Intellectuals today would have been considered mental midgets during that period. Okay. All right. Yeah, Fate of Empire, Sir John Glubb. Absolutely. Let's see. Okay, let me continue. I don't think we have much more to go here, but let me just continue on. So Glubb states that with the foreigners, just by being different, they tend to introduce cracks and divisions in the society. The important point is that the citizens themselves would have to stand up for the nation because they cannot leave the defense of the nation to foreigners. So, what are your thoughts on this? Um, I don't know if cracks is a word I would have used. It does diversify things for sure, but it's a natural thing. It's a natural thing. It's going to change when you start bringing in a whole lot of different ideologies and cultures and things like that. It's just a natural thing. Uh, According to Glubb, he sees it where he can introduce cracks and divisions in the society. So important. I mean, interesting choice of words there. Let's see. Um, let's see. Ralph Steiner, in the collapse of the U.S. empire, different countries might be born. True. Large parts of the U.S. could break away and form independent states. Will be fascinating to watch. You know, Down, it's an interesting comment because it seems that with the U.S. anyway, it is getting so divided that yeah, yeah, it looks like the East thinks this way, the Northeast thinks this way, the Southeast thinks this way, the West thinks another way, the Midwest thinks another way. I don't know. I mean, it's so diverse now. It's an interesting point. I don't know if that would ever happen, but that's a pretty interesting point there. Let's see. Rolf Steiner again. The USSR broke apart along ethnic and linguistic lines. Culture, right? The Roman Empire too. It's the usual way that empires fracture. True, and again, it goes back to people gravitate towards like-minded people, like-minded cultures. They understand each other more. So that part is true. Without question. So let me move on a bit. Looking at your thoughts here, some good good comments out there. And then the welfare state. As history shows, the decline of a nation is often preceded by a tendency towards philanthropy and sympathy. Yeah, they feel bad for us. They need to save us. Right. The welfare state is just another milestone in the life story of an aging empire in decline. This is true. I can tell you, like with a lot of countries in Asia, there's really no government net for you to fall in. If you're going to make it, you're going to have to make it. If you're going to get sick, I mean, of course, there are insurance and things like that, but it's not the same, where you get workman's comp and all of these things. I mean, you have to be a lot more self-sufficient. These safety nets that you could call these welfare tools. Welfare state is just another milestone in the life story of an aging empire in decline. Government wants to take care of you. They can take care of you. They pretty much got you. So philanthropists, they feel they need to save you. Government feels they need to save you. You can save yourself. You can. Weakening of religion. Glubb defines religion as the human feeling that there is some invisible power apart from material objects which control human life and the natural world. Religion does not only mean institutionalized faith, but represents a set of moral values, which in turn influence social norms. Without morality, men are more likely to snatch than serve, and the spirit of self sacrifice is weak. I agree with this part. I mean, there's got to be a sense of morality, a sense of ethics. And a lot of times, you know, something has to guide us to do the right thing. Something has to guide us to for our morals to be more of a positive things, our ethics to be more of a positive thing. Something has to guide us. Um, Something has to tell us something is wrong, and something has to be there. So it's interesting, where he says religion, and it may not even have to be institutionalized religion, but something tells us what's right, and something tells us what's wrong. Uh, Take a look at a few comments again out here. Um, let's see, Rolf Steiner, another one. It takes wealth and energy to keep an empire together. As the wealth is consumed and wars create poverty and debt, entropy accelerates and the empire falls apart. It's the law of nature. It's a great comment there. Great comment. Okay, let me move on so I can spend some time with you guys in the comments here. Now, The nation is characterized by defensive minded militaries, decaying morals, loss of religion, frivolous consumption of food, entertainment, sex, and the complete focus on individual interest. So, what are your thoughts on those as well? So, these are the stages of an empire: the age of pioneers, the conquest, the commerce, the affluence, and then the intellectuals come in and decide, you know what, hey, we let's think about all these things, and we'll start to solve problems that you can't do. We need to do it for you. Decadence, the moral decline, and then of course the decline and collapse. So what we saw clearly in stages 5, 6, and 7, it may not be just for the US, but for other countries as well. It might even be country you're in. So the question is, knowing what these 7 stages are, can we stop them? Can we stop them? Because right now with 5, stage 5, the intellectual stage, we are seeing global organizations taking over sovereign governments. When you have things like World Economic Forum, um, they are basically, IMF, these organizations where they basically tell sovereign governments what to do. And it's amazing because here you are voting for your president, your prime minister, but then again, he's listening to these organizations. So who's really the leader here? Who's really the leader? As I always say, none of us ever voted for anyone in the Federal Reserve. None of us ever voted for anyone in the World Economic Forum, but yet these guys are kind of leading the world. They got no accountability to you and me, just to their little group. It's one big club, and you and I, we ain't we ain't in it. So again, just wanted to touch on these things. Let us kind of think about it intellectually. But anyway, I'd appreciate it if you like, subscribe, and share, even if it works for you. I'll be taking a look at your comments. Wanted to spend some time with you guys because with Christmas coming up and then New Year, I think it falls on the weekends that we normally have the live stream. So I'm not sure if we're going to have the live stream. So just wanted to get in touch with you guys here, look at your comments, spend a little bit of time here. Um, let's see. Eh, yeah, exactly. What a lot of times we fail to see is energy is everything. It really is. The sooner they start drilling, the better. They're already behind. When you talk to the miners, the energy guys, they'll tell you that there hasn't really been exploration going on as much as it should. They'll even tell you, even if you explore and you find something today, it may take 10 years to even get it online. So do we even have 10 years to get to? But a lot of it is, we got these policies going on where, we don't want fossil fuels and all of these things. So what are these companies going to do? They got to go and research in other areas. But then again, will it work? I mean, what happens when it gets cloudy and rainy? Your solar is not going to work 24/7 the way electricity does. What happens when the wind stops? Your wind farms aren't going to work the way electricity does, the way fossil fuels have it work. So I don't think you can get off it entirely. There's no way, and we do need to understand energy a whole lot more. Gensler, I think if anybody's following the news, they're seeing what this guy has some ties with. Gensler, okay. Let's see what else is out here. Yeah, Rolf Steiner. I don't think it's too far. Introducing the CBDC. Um, if all these people are going to be laid off the way Kramer is saying it, and the way Powell is saying, we haven't experienced the full effect of the tightening. People start to lose their jobs. It becomes very difficult because everybody's home prices went up. Who had a home went up. And I'm sure a lot of people, they went ahead and took out loans against it, or whatever it may be. But for sure, your rent has gone up, and it's getting more and more difficult to make ends meet. And if you compound that by losing your job, you can bet these intellectuals who feel the need to save us are going to come in with that UBI. They are going to come in with UBI to save us, for sure. Let's see what else is out here. Um, Let's see. Carrie Ellen Wilder, in group preference by individuals entering illegally and under false pretenses, will always and everywhere override nationalist loyalty. Hmm, Okay, it's a good point. Hey, but again, for you winners, don't forget sbtv at silverbullion.com.sg. Don't forget, email us there, okay? So we can get the gift cards out to you. Um, let's see. Uh, True? Is this true? Texas is about to have another energy collapse right around Christmas. Really? Where'd you hear this one from? Just asking. Let's see what else is out. William. All right, William. I see that. Uh, let's see. Okay. Well, let me just get onto the commentary part here. So getting back to Jay Powell, the academics in the Federal Reserve, the intellectuals in the World Economic Forum who think they can solve all of humanity's problems, the decadence of politicians and world leaders. It's time we all understood this. What we are seeing isn't just the fall of the US. It's not even the fall of an empire. It's the fall of multiple nations on earth. It is going to be the fall of multiple nations on earth. When will it happen? I can't tell you, but that's a good thing. Why? Because if I can't tell you, if none of us can tell you, then it means it's not today, it may not be tomorrow. So you have time. You have time. Use that time wisely. Diversify those assets, even the location of those assets. I mean, if we're looking at multiple failures of countries or empires or whatever it is, and a lot of it has to do with the currency. When they fall, their fiat fails. Move into real money, move into things like gold and silver. And again, if you made it this far, that's my personal email at work. Go ahead and shoot me an email, or that's my number. You can contact me on Telegram anytime. I'll try and get back to you with whatever question you might have. Really specifically for you guys that do have these 401ks and you are considering rolling it over into a precious metals IRA or whatever it might be. Yeah, definitely contact me. I can at least point you in the right direction and get this thing started for you. Because with inflation, it's just eating away at what you have. With fiat currencies, possibly getting in trouble. You don't want to have all your retirement in fiat. So you want to have some of it outside of that system and in precious metals, these stores of value. So if you are considering a precious metals IRA, go ahead, contact me. I'll see what I can do to help you. So again, all of these things are important. Just want to take a look at a few more of your comments before I head out. Let's see. Rolf, very active. Coming depression will be fascinating because the anti-USA coalition worldwide controls nearly all of the enemy, and you will see them use this advantage. I mean, there's a lot of people unhappy with the US, a lot of countries unhappy with the US, and the money is just printed and printed and printed. You can't trust it really for trade, and we've talked about this. When it comes to trade, you just want a currency you can trust, or you want to be able to trust whatever you're trading for, whoever you're trading with. It's becoming harder and harder to trust nowadays. So a lot of people are unhappy with this, and it'd be a good idea to really start moving over your assets out of fiat. What else is out here? Let me take a quick look. Um, let's see. Um, okay, okay. Let's see. Ralph again. Sorry, I'm just looking through comments and then it happens to be your name again. Highly educated people in Europe are now saying that 2023, 2024 winter will see Europe collapse and many nations will be forced to pivot towards Russia. Hungary is already there. This is what we often talked about as well, where you know if your nation is cold, if your nation is hungry, and you're the leaders, they're going to come after you. Now, the thing is, do you feel so untouchable that you don't care? They can't touch you anyway, so why should you care? Or do you know that history always says, when your people get mad, they go after you. So are you going to actually give in a bit just to get them fed, to get them warm again? And thing is, for any leader, it may not be their decision to make. It's the people's decision to make. So again, when you have this intellectual crowd thinking they're going to solve everything for everyone, they're not listening to the people. And sometimes, the people are going to make the decision. They are the ones that are going to make the decision. So It's an interesting comment there. All right, so and I appreciate you guys being here. It is that season coming up next week. I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas to all. Um, be a blessing and not a burden. Find peace. Find peace in things, and a lot of times you can find peace when simply knowing that you're doing the right things. Step by step, little by little, do the right things. I think we still have a little bit of time or some time to do them. Surround yourself with like-minded people. Yoke yourselves with right-minded people or like-minded people. Well, right-minded people as well. But take care. Take care of your friends or your family, yourself. Do what you need to do. And I'm not sure when the next live stream will be. I'll let you guys know. Christmas, New Year's are at about the same on the same consecutive weekends. So find your peace. Take care of one another. Make sure you love one another. And I love all of you guys out there as well. I thank you for supporting the channel. Again, the winners, silverbullion.com. Well, sbtv at silverbullion.com.sg. Send us your email. You guys have a Merry Christmas now, right? So forget about all of this crazy stuff for the next couple weeks. Enjoy it. Enjoy the season. I'll see you guys next week. Again, Silver Bullion, truly secure your wealth as always, and saddle up and silver up for what's coming ahead. I'll see you guys. Merry Christmas and have a happy New Year. Take care.